Slam Pigs podcast back again, getting ready for the Royal Rumble. We're back. It's our Royal Rumble prediction show. Myself, Mike Larkin. What's going on? Mike the Slam Pig. How you been? Where can everyone catch you? And it's your favorite time of the year in wrestling.
Hello, everyone. I am Mike the Slam Pig. I'm back. You can always check me out on Twitter at Mike the Slam Pig or on Facebook. Yes, it is my favorite time of year. It's Rumble season. Are you ready to rumble, Travis?
I don't know how I feel about it because it's weird not having any fans there. That's the thing.
Well,
It's
I mean,
weird.
they can pipe in all that fan noise that they want. Who cares?
Well, pipe in where everyone can catch you on social media and all that good stuff.
They can check me out on Twitter at Mike the Slam Pig or on Facebook. And that's it. Where can they check you out, Travis?
Short, sweet, to the point. I like it. As always, on Twitter at the TMD. That red button down below, hit it. All the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, Terry Blaze bullshit. Official Union Smack reset button, Hibiki TMD merch over unionsmack.bigcartel.com. Excuse me, and catch me every Tuesday night now. I guess is our new schedule over there. Broken Optics on Twitch, the Melee. I want to call it the Monday Night Melee so bad now, but it's not that anymore. So just the Melee, I guess. If it's a co-op game, bet your sweet pretty ass we're going to play it. I haven't been keeping up on a lot of Raw. I've been kind of peeking in just for the sake of the show.
You didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah, I know. Thank God I didn't. I don't know how people... Did you watch it? 3 hours? Stretch?
Yeah.
How do you do it? How does everyone do it at this point? It's got to be the most uninteresting and stale it's ever been.
You know, I heard it on somebody else's podcast, and they made the greatest point. It's what we're all thinking. How can the same people be in charge of SmackDown and Raw, and yet one show's wonderful and the other show's terrible? It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
And we say it all the time. We've seen this play out before in WWE and back in like 2003 when Raw was shit with Scott Steiner and Test and SmackDown was on fire. I feel like
they've always had different people in charge of the different shows, and now they don't even have that excuse. It's literally the same people.
I think it's honestly the difference in the strength in their eyes of the networks they're on. Obviously, they get way more eyes on Fox.
Well, they just fucking finished a big old deal with the USA with Peacock Network.
Let's get into it. That's got to be the biggest news. The network is ending, Michael. What a run, by the way. I remember getting the network like month one it launched. I haven't had it for about a little over a year. I haven't had the network, but before that,
I mean, it's not ending. It's just WWE is not going to be in charge of it.
It's moving.
It's moving to Peacock.
Basically
NBC Universal, which is USA Network and all that good stuff.
Yeah. It figures that they're so petty with Pat Patterson and all the ribs on him in the past. They wait till after he passes to get on a network called Cock.
God,
I had to throw that joke. I used that joke the other night on a stream, and I felt it was worthy of being on our official show. So,
but it's not all sad. It's not all doom and gloom because now you can actually get the network for half price.
That business-wise, this was obviously a great move. They made $1 billion on this. They're going to.
They're going to make $200 billion a year for the next 5 years from Peacock.
Now, business-wise, it's good stuff. Very smart move by Vince and everyone involved. But the only thing that worries me about this, I tweeted out earlier this week, kind of not fully ranting about it, but it's worrisome, is how bad like a Raw is now. And I feel like also since the Saudi shows became a thing and they got that Saudi money, plus the third hour of Raw that was added on for like that extra $1 million, it just gets more lackluster and more complacent every year. because of just this padding of money. And now my fear is it's going to get even worse, especially now that they can control the crowd. They don't got to worry about live reactions. We can make whoever we want over to be over. You know what I mean?
We can finally make fans do whatever we want.
They're going to love Lashley. Watch. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, though?
Luckily, Travis, we're not going to go over the Superstar Spectacle because I don't have the strength for it. So, and to be honest, I don't know half the wrestlers that were in it. I can't remember their names, and I don't want to sound awful in describing them. So,
now, for what it's worth, on the other end, again this week, SmackDown was the way better show in my book. Yes. I mean, how could you not?
Do you think it all boils down to the third hour?
I do. I really think that's at least 75 to 80% of the problem. The rest is on the writing.
What kills me is you have this extra hour, and I feel like they just waste it. Like you have an extra hour to get more people over, more people on the screen, get people invested in different people, and they just do the same fucking thing every week. It's like Raw is focused around the same two things every week: Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton and The Fiend.
And you know the really sad part is what we consider to be bullshit filler, they probably don't. Vince and Bruce Pritchard and those guys probably like, oh, this is great shit. We get to see them in a new environment and outside of the ring. At the end of the day, like, why am I watching Sonya Deville in an authority figure role when she's not, I mean, she's not bad in the ring, but she's not that great on the mic to begin with, and they're giving her like paragraphs to recite now, and that was by far the worst part of SmackDown. Hands down.
She reminds me of like the female Lance Storm. To be honest, she's just a total charisma vacuum. There's nothing there personality-wise.
She has a great look. And like I said, she's decent in the ring. Now, all the shit outside of the ring that's happened to her, that's a shame, and that's creepy shit with the stalkers and all that stuff. That's not on her, and I'm glad she was safe and stuff, but I'm not going to just give her a pass because that happened to her in real life. And I know people want me to say the PR nice things about Sonya Deville. She's going to overcome a lot of adversity in real life, so we should just say everything she does is great. No, that's not why we're here, Michael, right?
Correct. The last thing I ever want to see Sonya Deville do is talk. And what do? They put her in a role where all she does is talk.
Now, when to be fair, I call a spade, when they let her say stuff in sound bites, it's passable. It's just less is more. Yes. Especially if you're going to have her do that daddy's home MMA type character, badass or whatever. Less is always more in that. Look at Roman Reigns now, even though this week he said a lot.
Up and square up.
Yeah. No, but I think the Peacock move, it's not the end of the world. As far as people bitching about how the network's going away, and you just do your homework more because it's really not. It's just going to.
I'm excited about it.
You got to press like 2 more buttons on a remote, people. Get over it.
Correct. And it's only going to cost you half the money. So you're actually getting a discount.
I just don't want the product to suffer because they're getting more money and they get lazier. I guess that's what it boils down to.
To be honest, I mean, I watch the network to watch any old pay-per-view that I want to watch and to watch any upcoming pay-per-view that I want to watch. I don't get on there for the little side shows they have on there. I'm sure Edge and Christian are wonderful, but I don't get on the network to watch the Edge and Christian show.
Oh, you
I don't get on there to watch.
That's a great
I don't get
show.
on there to watch. I don't watch Ride Along or any of that stuff. Like the network is just there for me to watch pay-per-views. Basically, that's really all I use it for. Now I do get on there and watch some of the new stuff they put out, like the new Chronicles and the new 24/7s or whatever.
The Austin podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, even that I don't need the network for. I could just get it on YouTube if I wanted to.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say it all the time. Like you and I's wrestling DVD collections on their own, not even like collectively combined, is a network itself.
Correct.
So if we really need a wrestling fix and it boils in, we need an emergency, pull out your fucking Randy Savage DVD. There you go. Quick fix.
Oh, yeah. That's a goodie.
Man, talking about the current state of Raw makes me long for a Randy Savage. Just some guy to come in, just this complete package to just help turn things around. And just, I think that's the thing, too. And look, I love Kevin Owens, but these promos that they have him cut sitting in his car with the selfie cam, they're fucking long, and there's not a lot of energy behind them, and I don't know what the thinking is going into right now. He should be this aggressive tweener baby face. Like, why did people start cheering Kevin Owens in the first place? Because his character was off balance and he was off kilter and he was a little hyper.
He's on SmackDown anyway, so
right.
It's not a big deal. But I mean, there was one lone bright spot in Raw, and that was the return of Edge. he's announcing he's back and he's going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Travis, Mr. Oh, it's definitely going to be a SmackDown guy that wins the Rumble. Not so fast, mister. There's a new front runner.
Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Let's get to our 2021 Royal Rumble predictions card. Michael, you ready? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do that right off the top, too. Let's go big. Men's Royal Rumble match. Who do you got, and how does it play out?
Oh, does it just have to be one person? I can only pick one.
I mean, if you want to do a Lex Brett finish, 94 style, feel free. Get creative on it.
I want to do. How about I do like a top 3 favorites here?
Like your Booker T fave fives?
Like my top 3 favorites to win it all.
All right, Jerry Lawler. I like this guy.
I like this guy. Is he going to win the Rumble?
No, I don't like him that much. Good.
Let's see. First one I'm going to pick. I'm going to go with Edge. Edge is probably my first choice to win the Rumble. I don't know how they would do that. I feel like if Edge wins the Rumble, they have to find a way to get the belt off McIntyre, which could play into the same night. I mean, if Edge wins the Rumble, he has to go against a heel in the main event at WrestleMania, I feel like. So it would have to be somebody like The Miz cashing in or something like that, which may not work out so well.
To be honest, he doesn't have to go against a heel. I could see him doing Drew and Edge, just for that old line to see.
Or Drew and Goldberg, I guess. But I really don't want Goldberg in a title match again at WrestleMania.
Oh, you mean Edge?
We'll get that later. Yeah. My second pick. I don't really know if he's going to be classified as Raw or SmackDown because I don't know what they're going to do with him. I'm going Brock. The rumors are Brock's coming back. He's going to be in the Rumble, and there's going to be something big going on, whether he wins the Rumble or he's involved in one of the 2 title match finishes. One of the rumors that I heard, really gross one that I really hope doesn't happen, is him versus Goldberg again at WrestleMania for the title
I don't think they would do that again.
You don't think Vince would do that?
Oh, yeah, never say never with that old codger.
But that's my number 2 pick. That's my poo-poo pick. Number 2, get it? Number 3, my last pick. I guess we'll go with your guy. We'll go with Daniel Bryan. There's still people out there that seem to think Daniel Bryan has a chance to win this Royal Rumble. I'm just, I guess, bandwagoning along with this, even though it makes no logistical sense to me. He's been booked like shit, losing to Cesaro. I mean, when's the last time Daniel Bryan won a one-on-one match?
I think maybe 2. I mean, your number 3rd pick is my number 1 pick. My number 1 pick is Daniel Bryan. I'll tell you why. I think they're doing the case of they're beating him down to build him back up. They can finally have fans fucking stop bitching year after year that I'm sure they're sick of hearing about, even though they did the right thing by him at WrestleMania 30. That Daniel Bryan never got to win the Rumble 2015. He should have won it. They're probably just sick of that shit. I think it does make sense, and I think Bryan and Roman, I would be invested in that going. I think they would do right by that angle too. I think they would make it. But I got to be honest, my number 2 pick, you said it as your number, this is Brock, man. I would really love to see. I know everyone's like, oh, I don't want Brock. Keep him away. AEW rules. It's money. I think this storyline that you pitched to me and we were messaging the other day about how, Paul has to choose who's the prettiest girl at the dance type scenario.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That fucking writes itself. And that's an easy one to write too.
Could you just imagine that if Brock won the Rumble and then the following week on SmackDown, Roman's out there cutting a promo with Paul Heyman in the ring and Brock's music hits? Just the look on Heyman's face alone would sell the tickets.
Plus,
shit, there's my old daddy with my new daddy. What do I do?
Plus, the ultimate whipped cream and cherry on that Sunday for us, the meltdown of the internet wrestling community that we could witness if Brock came back would be worth price of admission.
It would be the one time I'd want to see Brock and Roman at WrestleMania.
I just love having people, like, seeing them have spasms every time Brock does anything. Brock Lesnar came in a wrestling ring and he took 3 breaths. I hate wrestling. You got to admit.
To be fair, Brock Lesnar is not the most likable guy.
No.
I mean,
I think that's a big part of what makes Brock work, especially in this era where kayfabe is dead. People know he's a dick in real life, so that just made for such great heel heat when he'd come in and push Mustafa Ali off the Money in the Bank at the last minute, and everybody cried and needed a diaper on social media. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't have got Boombox Brock. Remember that shit?
Exactly.
That was good shit.
That was actually pretty entertaining. My problem with Brock has always been his effort. I feel like he's just pretty much been phoning it in the past couple years with his matches. Rarely do you see any of his matches go over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you do, it's just because he's just taking his time just squashing somebody. It's really kind of Goldberg-esque for me. It's that Brock has no excuse. He can actually work. Like, come on, Brock. Like, can you be a little more creative here? Give us something here. Earn your fucking money, would you?
We've seen that Brock still knows his way around the ring, too, because when he wants to, especially with that match with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, I think both at Survivor Series, like following years.
Yeah.
Those were competitive little matches.
Yeah, but neither one of them very long, obviously. They could have been so much more. Right. But Brock is Brock.
It's also not 03 anymore with Brock. People tend to forget that, too. We're going to feel old. That was 18 years ago.
Yeah, but can I get more than 10 minutes out of him at WrestleMania?
I think for me, when it became... Because I think when Brock first came back at Extreme Rules 2012, that match with Cena was great because it was very different. But I think it was very noticeable. I think that match with Ambrose at WrestleMania, everyone really started noticing it with Brock. Because that match fucking sucked. Ambrose hated it. He said Brock didn't want to do shit with him. I think we even covered that way back on season 1, for Christ's sakes.
No,
What we do on the reset button? No, my number 2 is Brock. My number 3, just got that feeling, and I know you don't want to see it. And we talked about this the other day. Shinsuke Nakamura. I think there's a finger on a pulse with him again too. I think finally they're showing a little interest in him again, just not squandering him in a makeshift tag team with Cesaro. That's another guy who's getting a lot of TV time. I can't see Cesaro ever being put in that spot. As much as I love his work and as much as Cesaro is great, the mic skills at the end of the day, they've never really improved for me, and I think that's a big factor. Love it or hate it, that's where they're at. That's the kind of company they're in.
The funny thing is he has charisma. Like, Cesaro has charisma. He's just not a great talker.
And they always feel the need to let him talk.
Cesaro would be the perfect person, like when they had him with Heyman for 5 seconds. Like, if you would have kept him with Heyman, actually gave him a run, like, I feel like that would have done wonders for Cesaro's career. But no, they just jumped off that bandwagon real quick. Like, he was with Heyman for what, like a month, if that?
Yeah.
And same thing. It was basically around the time.
Curtis
was
Axel.
That was that around the time when he was with Ryback too?
No, that was Curtis Axel was around that time. Like, they cut him with Cesaro after a month, and they did Curtis Axel for like 2 months. So we're getting somewhere. Yeah. At least Curtis Axel won a belt with him.
Curtis Axel still has a job, I think.
Wow.
I don't know how, but.
So our number 1 picks each. Edge for you, Daniel Bryan for me. Those are our main picks for the Men's Royal Rumble match this year.
Yeah, I'm not real confident in my pick, but I'm doing it. Just because I think it's definitely going to be Edge or Brock. I don't think it's going to be any full-time guy winning the Rumble this year.
We'll let the estrogen fly, because let's get into it. The Women's Royal Rumble match, Michael.
Also, before we get to that, don't forget that Super Cena is supposed to be coming back too. So God knows what they're planning with him.
I don't think that he's ever going to win a world title again, honestly.
He's going to be in some sort of high-profile match at WrestleMania.
I think the Fiend is obviously, we said last week, in the last episode, that Randy Orton's only in there to set up like a Mania match with them. Like, the Fiend's going to cost him the Rumble match somehow. The Fiend's going to come up this Sunday.
Yeah.
How do you not?
But, all right, let's get into the babes.
Let's do it. Before we get into the babes, everyone I'm sure wants to hear your thoughts about all this. I think we've missed like 2 Raws now. All this shit that Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton are doing with RKOing her, sitting on swing sets, coming out as like Mick Foley as 5 different characters. They've been going everywhere with this, and I feel like since we've recorded. Well, what do you think about how this is playing out with Randy Orton?
To be honest, I like everything that Alexa's doing. To be honest, I think this is really adding layers to her character. It's really showing off her versatility as a performer, that she can play this role, and it's entertaining for me to watch. Honestly, like, Randy Orton's never been like somebody where I was just like, oh my God, I gotta watch Randy Orton.
Yeah.
But in this feud with the Fiend and Alexa, as much as they've put into it, at least it's one of the only things that you watch Raw for, is to see what they're going to do this week. Now, has it gotten hokey with the fireballs and lighting fucking people on fire and shit? Yes. But as far as Alexa's character, I love the the whole thing. I love it. I like the swing set. I like the difference in characters. I think it's fucking hilarious, and yet kind of hot at the same time. Like, I don't know, but Alexa Bliss for me is definitely like one of my favorite things going on Raw.
Same. It depends what they have in her do. Here's what I hate, which I know the majority of you guys on Twitter and stuff hate too, because I saw it, and I hate parts with the Alexa stuff where like an Asuka is getting scared. It's fucking Asuka. For one, Asuka's supposed to be like this badass buzzsaw like female Tajiri in a way. You know what I mean? Like this killer type thing. Why is she getting scared of Alexa Bliss doing the crabby walk? Like that makes no sense. Like she stopped dead in her tracks too. Not even just like she gave her a weird look. Like it's just her running away from the Fisher Price fucking swing set. Like this is dumb.
Oh my God, she's wearing goth clothes. I better run away.
I did like the Randy Orton RKO thing, because if you're going to book him as a piece of shit at the end of the day, have him do piece of shit things. And I think that's still, especially in this era, the most PR era ever in mankind, at least over here in North America, that was the perfect kind of angle to do.
Exactly.
But I've seen rumors too that there could be an intergender match at Mania with these two. So I don't know what they have planned. This could go anywhere by Mania.
That would be really dumb. But from what I've read, the Fiend's coming back and he's going to have a new look again.
I think we mentioned that. Would they do that? And I don't think it's time. I don't think he needs a new look. I just think have him do stuff that's not hokey, and it gets a pass with me. I don't think it's the look that's the problem with the Fiend. It never has been the look.
Yeah, the look's not the problem. It's just what do you do with the character after so many things? Like you already killed him last year with the Goldberg match. I feel like that stopped all of his momentum because the Fiend was like the hottest thing going there for 3 or 4 months, and then they book him with Goldberg out of nowhere, and he gets squashed by Goldberg.
Women's Royal Rumble match, though. I know we're gonna get off topic, guys. When we miss a week, that happens. Speaking of intergender, I think it's time we induct this year's first Slam Pigs Podcast Hall of Fame inductee. You ready? Reginald. Did you see that match with Sasha Banks? SmackDown?
I did.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't either.
I don't know what everyone's so fucking pissed off for.
Yeah, I mean, what are you mad at? That he lost? I mean, you going to have a guy beat up a girl on TV just like on Raw? At least it was different.
At least he did some flips, landed on his feet.
Yeah, the guy's got some athleticism.
If Will Ospreay would have done that, you guys would have loved it.
Oh, my God. They'd have been shitting their pants.
Look at all the flips. Did you see all the flips?
Who do you got, Women's Royal Rumble? Are you going to do 3 again, or you're sure with one?
Let's do 3, because I'm not sure. Is anybody ever really sure, unless it was Stone Cold, were you ever really sure who was winning the Rumble?
I feel like if the show was around in like 90, 91, I'm pretty sure I knew Hulkster was going to win. Who else? The Barbarian? Fucking. Who do you got?
All right, my number one pick, and this may upset some people. This may make people think, oh, great, here we go, back to the same old shit, is Becky Lynch. Now, it has not been confirmed that she's going to be in the Rumble or that she's ready to come back yet, but if you do the math, they had their baby in early December. Her and Rollins had their little, McRollins baby. And
it's so weird because I just had McDonald's like 3 hours ago. It's like,
And they say that women take about 6 weeks to recover from childbirth. So if she's been doing any training, that gives her just enough time to be ready for the Rumble if she wants to be there. Now, this is obviously all up to Becky, whether or not she's ready to come back yet, whether she wants to come back yet, because God forbid she wants to, stay at home with her child for a few months. I mean, who could be mad at her?
She might miss it, though,
Yeah, you never know. Maybe it's going to be a road baby. They're just going to bring the baby. I mean, they're not traveling right now, so, who knows?
Honey, we're running late. Have you seen the road baby anywhere?
and not to get off topic again, but that's another guy that we didn't mention could be a possibility to win the Rumble.
Road Dogg?
Rollins coming back.
Yeah,
Road Dogg.
I've heard
Rollins is supposed to be coming back, so.
I've heard some rumblings that he's going to come back for the Rumble match. I don't know if he's going to win it because he just won it 2 years ago, and he beat Brock. That's the main he went to, but
plus he's a heel.
Exactly.
So, I'm going to go with Becky Lynch as my number one if she comes back. My number 2 pick, another rumor mill pick for me is Ronda Rousey. I have read multiple sources, now take them with a grain of salt, that say that Rousey is almost a lock to be at the Rumble in some capacity. Once again, whether it's to interfere in something, to actually be in the Rumble, but I find it hard to believe that if Ronda Rousey shows up for the Royal Rumble, that she doesn't win it. So that's my number 2 pick. Third pick. Oh, God. Third pick, I guess, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, I'd love to see her win the Rumble. She's another one that I feel like has earned it. She's put in some great work this year. Maybe, not as noticeable until as of late, but she's done a lot this year. She's tag champ. She's gone through a complete character change. She's been a big focal point of their programming, especially on Raw for most of the year. So, if you're going to do something with her, have her win the Rumble and just fucking go through everybody.
I can see the women's Rumble match going on first, and I think the women's Rumble match, Randy Orton's going to cost Alexa Bliss. I can see them do that, so where later on in the men's, that's why the Fiend's going to cost Randy Orton.
Yeah. The
big possibility they do it that way, I feel like.
And you think Randy Orton's going to cost Alexa Bliss?
Yeah, especially because now, I guess, gloves off, he can give her RKOs whenever he wants. So, I mean, costing her a Rumble match is no big deal then, I guess.
Wouldn't it be great, though? My fantasy booking here would be like a mixed tag match at WrestleMania. Would be Bliss and The Fiend versus Randy Orton and Tessa Blanchard.
Ooh. You want to set? You don't want to just set the internet on fire. You want to burn it down to the goddamn ground with that take.
I'm just saying. Tessa Blanchard and Randy Orton together, like, that's gold. Because everybody hates Tessa Blanchard right now, of course, because they believe everything they read, and everybody hates Randy Orton because they're supposed to.
Plus, everyone knows how much, or at least I know how much you love that mixed tag match from Mania 6 with Dusty and Sapphire, baby. It's against Macho, Myth Lisbon.
Sapphire, she was looking good in there.
Sapphire got 5 stars in the Egg Dome.
All right, Travis.
Before I make my picks, I want to let everyone know that I feel like Bianca Belair is not going to win, and they're going to purposely do that thing they love to do in every Rumble match in modern years, I feel like, where it takes like the one everyone wants to win and throws her out just to get more heat. So I don't think, as much as I feel like she should, I don't think she's going to. I think Rhea Ripley is coming in to win it, my number 1 pick. I think it's beyond fucking time for her to get off of NXT. I don't care what program she's in right now. Get her out of it. God damn it. Raw needs someone like a Rhea Ripley. They've squandered Shayna Baszler. Don't do it with Rhea Ripley. And I feel like if done right, she could be that dark horse NXT mystery pick. First ever NXT women's pick to win the Rumble as a surprise. And I think Rhea Ripley...
and they showed last year that the winner of the Rumble doesn't have to pick Raw or SmackDown. They can go for the NXT belt like they did with Charlotte.
Yeah, you could do that. But I do feel like it's time to get Rhea on the main roster and book her right. I mean, not just bring her up and shit on her, but...
You don't want to shit on Rhea. I would definitely like to see her on the main roster, especially on Raw. I think Raw would definitely need her more. But I don't know if they're really going to pull the trigger with that yet, because there has to be, plenty of people for her to work with. You have to develop the character, but it wouldn't shock me. They do their WrestleMania call-up. She would definitely be close to the top of the list for me on people that should be brought up. Between her and Adam Cole and, a couple other guys that I could see, Damian Priest maybe. I feel like he's a total, like, generic Vince guy. Vince probably looks at Damian Priest like, look at that guy.
Well, plus, the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room at this Women's Rumble. Let's say that your surprise picks don't show up. There's not a lot to work with in this Rumble either. At all.
No.
Is Billy Kay going to win the fucking Rumble, or goddamn, there's not.
Naomi, and she's going to come back.
And that's on them. That's totally. There's no reason that this women's roster should have this many dark horse, borderline jobber long shots on it. Yeah, and I think the men's one suffers from that too, more and more every year.
Well, yeah, that's why I feel like if you look online right now at the odds-on favorites, like half of them are not even on the shows right now. Like like Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey are up there close to the top for odds-on favorites for the Women's Rumble. Neither one of them have been in a WWE ring for most. Well, let's see. Rousey's been a couple years now since we saw our last match at WrestleMania 35.
And that should be totally eye-opening to them too. That all the favorites aren't even advertised. They're surprises. Like I feel like Edge was a favorite too, if he was or wasn't. Also, same case.
Yeah. But and on the men's side, it's actually I think Daniel Bryan then Keith Lee's like the second favorite. But I mean, as much as it would be cool to see Keith Lee win, do I really want to see him in the main event at WrestleMania? Like I don't feel like they've done enough with him for me to be interested in that.
They keep giving away big matches with him a lot on Raw too. That match with Drew McIntyre should have been on a pay-per-view.
I mean, he's a hell of a worker. Don't get me wrong, and I love his matches. But as a character, I'm just not invested enough right now to have him in that spot.
Yep. Again.
Plus, I want to see him as a heel. Damn it.
As far as my other two picks, man, that's the thing. I don't really think I can. I have no fucking clue. I'll just throw randoms in there with the women. Nikki Cross and fucking, I don't know. Who cares? Because that's how much they've made me care about this year's Women's Rumble match. I don't really care. Because the women's division has been.
Cross wins the Rumble, I swear to God.
Let's be honest. For every like gem like an Asuka or I'm a big Baszler fan. For every person like that, it's been a lot of shit in the past year at the women's division. A lot of filler. Bayley, and Sasha obviously have probably been the best part. A lot of players were also injured this year too. There was no Charlotte for the majority of the year, and even though she did win at WrestleMania and all that stuff, which was a blunder.
Like I wouldn't mind seeing Baszler win, but I feel like they're setting up her and Nia Jax for WrestleMania to go against each other. But I don't know.
How about that clip of speaking of Nia Jax, since we're on the women, how about that clip of her killing Dana Brooke with a botched power choke slam thing?
Yeah. And then she laughed about it on the internet.
She did. And I didn't even mention the elevation she got on that Giant Gonzalez leg drop she threw after it.
That 2-inch vertical she gets on that leg drop.
Oh.
It basically just looks like she comes off the ropes and just decides to sit down, like really fast. Let me put my legs out.
The thing about this woman that drives me nuts is if she's in denial about the nepotism deal. With who her family is and all that. Let's be honest, we've seen far more talented women than her cut just because, well, there's just something you're lacking. And if she would throw herself under the bus more and just come out about the nepotism deal, then I wouldn't have such a problem with her. But she just tries to be this edgy, I'm going to throw it in your face because I'm Nia and I'm smelling. And it's just
like I get it. You're bigger than everyone else. You're supposed to be playing a big bully. I mean, it's fine.
She's dangerous. That's my thing. How much is enough before one of these women literally end up like seriously concussed?
Well, then you get the "I told you so" from all the internet people.
They're not always going to look out and have the Becky Lynch thing play out, where it made for a good T-shirt because Becky's covered in blood and all that.
Yeah.
They're eventually that's going to catch up to them. But that's the women's Rumble match. Got Rhea Ripley and we got Becky Lynch as our picks. Look at that.
Yep.
Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. I am excited about this one. This has probably been the match out of any match on this fucking card that they've been building up the best for me. I mean, we saw Paul Heyman versus Adam Pearce this week. We knew we weren't getting a match really, but for what it was, I didn't hate it, and I love the little pop-up powerbomb thing through the table. And I think it's been fine, and there's no reason Roman Reigns shouldn't win this match.
Well, you got to see Owens stand tall for once. Which was nice to see. Once again, if we're going off odds here, I think I read the odds on this match. I think Reigns is like a 680 favorite, which is huge. So, like he's plus 680 or some shit. So obviously WWE, unless they're trying to steal some money from people, they're going to keep the belt on Reigns for this one. And I think things are going to start to shape up to see who he's going to get for Mania. What they're going to do with him next. I think this definitely settles their feud once and for all. I think my prediction on this match is that Owens will have it won, and we're going to see the returning Jimmy Uso get involved in this, and then it's going to be a 3-man stable.
I can see them doing a thing where Owens has it won, and Sami Zayn comes out, even though they're on different brands. I think we're finally going to get the match at a WrestleMania, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I think it's time. I think both the guys are in their prime. One's a heel,
That's
one's a
such a
face.
downgrade for Kevin Owens, though, in my opinion.
Is it? Because Sami Zayn is low-key underrated. He really is. It's not his fault what he's given.
Yeah, but I feel like they're on two different levels.
But every time these guys have touched in the ring, and like, what was that Battleground a couple years ago? It's been really good.
Yeah,
it's been
they have fantastic matches. They've been wrestling each other for 20 years. But it just doesn't make any sense to have an upper card guy against a mid card guy. To me, that's the only thing that I feel like Sami Zayn's just so entrenched in the mid card that he would never.
Maybe this help get him out of it if they did that, though. You know.
Maybe, but Owens just worked Seth Rollins last year at WrestleMania, and then he goes to Sami Zayn the following year. You don't think that's a bit of a letdown?
You see this, guys? I try to give all these guys a payday and get them on the Mania card every year. Michael shuts it down. He says, we can't afford your stimulus.
I'm sorry. Sami Zayn just does nothing for me.
I was taking a drink. Excuse me. We need a new shirt on the store this year that says "No payday for you." It's a picture of Michael. You ain't getting paid.
No pay. No pay for mid-card Sammy.
Drew McIntyre, Bill Goldberg.
Well, this one,
I'm going Drew.
It's going to be tough to call.
I'm going Drew. I think they don't do this. They don't do it again with Goldberg. They can't do this, right? Maybe I'm just in denial about it. They can't do this.
Well, once again, the odds. I'm looking at the odds again. I'm going to be the Mr. Odds maker. Like this is, a new thing now on pay-per-views. I'm just going to look at odds to try and see who's going to win matches. This one's pretty much a toss-up. Drew is a very, very slight favorite. He's like a -110 favorite.
I saw a horrible fantasy scenario on Twitter this week about this where, that sounded gross, my bad, but fantasy booking scenario with Goldberg and Drew McIntyre where Goldberg loses the match, comes out in the Rumble, wins it. Then at Mania, it's a three-way with Edge, Roman, and Goldberg to unify the belts, a battle with the spears.
There was another thing I saw with that happening with Brock in the equation, where it would be Drew, Goldberg, and Brock for the title at Mania.
All of that is so disgusting to me on paper to think about. Because the one key factor...
Part of me thinks that if Brock's coming back, he's going to want his revenge on McIntyre. So...
Imagine, Michael, if you will, WrestleMania 14. The literal passing of the torch to Steve Austin. Right, yeah. With the Shawn Michaels, two guys. One unfortunately had to take 4 years off because of his back, but nonetheless, Michaels was in his prime. Fair to say.
Yeah.
Imagine that match, but we're going to take out Steve Austin, and we're going to put in Lou Thez in 1998. Do the math. It's a little bit off, but it's close enough to what this is. Imagine them putting Vern Gagne in there instead of Steve Austin. Like, let nostalgia go. We get it. You know why we get it? We got a whole network, for now, to watch about all this shit on it. We know why these guys are legends, quote unquote, why we should like them, the past they paved. But Mustafa Ali was right in that goddamn promo. That's why the promo was so good, because that promo said what every fan wants to say at the end of the day. And they didn't like it. Those are the people, they didn't like Ali's promo, Michael. It's time. It's time for a new generation of fucking guys. They tease it every year like, oh, these are going to be the new crop. And then nostalgia. Every year around this time, Michael, you got to have nostalgia because Vince gets fucking cold feet over these giant shows.
I agree, but unfortunately, I have a feeling Goldberg's going to be involved in some way. And to be honest, if you're going to have him involved, the best way that I would book it would be to put him in like a triple threat match where he doesn't have to do a whole lot of work. He can just get in on some spots, just try not to fuck shit up, and fucking get through the match. You know what I mean? So, if you're going to book Goldberg, I think that's one of the safest ways to do it at Mania would be to do like a triple threat match.
So, that said, who do you got in this match, your pick?
Ugh. It's just so hard to pick one here because I have no idea what direction WWE's going.
Well, roll the dice. What's the land up?
You pick McIntyre, so I'm going to go Goldberg then. I'm going to go Goldberg. Goldberg's going to win the title, and there's going to be him and McIntyre and Brock at WrestleMania. That's going to be my pick then.
Fair enough. For as much as I don't want to see Goldberg, they got me again. I want to at least see what's going to happen. I don't want to see Goldberg, but I need to at least see the train wreck. You know what I mean?
Plus, I never put it past Vince to purposely piss off people.
That's why Goldberg's in there, because it works. All you guys, I just did a rant on it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to watch it.
Yep.
At least I'll call myself out. I'm not a hypocrite about it. Asuka and
people-
Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I don't care. There's my pick. I really don't.
Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I'm picking that.
Asuka and Charlotte have had probably the worst booking of any team I've ever seen that's supposed to be on the same side. Where is Asuka to help her out with all this shit with Lacey Evans, like you said the other week? It's just they don't. You forget they're a
basically
team
not a
because
team.
you never see them on TV together.
Yep, they're basically not a team. Either Nia Jax and Baszler are winning this match, or Nia Jax and Baszler are setting up their own feud going into Mania.
And what was this shit? Charlotte dancing was that who? What girl was that? Did you see it on Raw this week? What was that?
I didn't see it.
I thought it was like Aaliyah from NXT. When I looked again, I'm like, I have no idea who that was. So
Thank God I didn't see that.
it's rough. But yeah, I don't care. And there's Michael's pick. That's the Rumble card for 2021, Michael. All in all, we could have used. I mean, hopefully that Riddle and Lashley match might be on the pre-show or something. But these fucking pay-per-views, if you're gonna have mid-card titles, then use them. At least put a mid.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares about the women's tag team title belts right now? And I'm not saying
Yeah.
people shouldn't care, but what have they done to make us care?
Exactly. And what is there going to be an IC title match too? Is Big E going to defend his belt, or no? He's just going to be in the Rumble.
Yeah, he just did that on SmackDown. Two schmas.
Yeah. So I guess they're just going to continue that later on.
We did it, man. We ripped the Band-Aid off. We got our predictions in. It's almost time for a break ski here before we go way back in the time machine.
That's your Rumble.
That's your Royal Rumble match this year. We hope you guys enjoy the Rumble, whatever you view it on, illegally, legally. When we come back, you guys, speaking of you guys, you voted on Twitter again, Michael. We didn't get a shitty hand dealt this week, at least. We got your probably. Is this your favorite year in wrestling ever?
I think just because I remember most about this time period. 93 is probably my most knowledgeable year of wrestling history.
Hell yeah!
But yes, it's one of my favorites. Not everyone agrees, but it was definitely in the middle of the Bret Hart era, the new generation. I'm obviously a huge Bret mark, so this would be one of my favorite times.
Oh yeah! When we come back, the 1-2-3 Kid upsets Razor Ramon on Monday Night Raw. The entire saga, Slam Pigs podcast, voted by you. When we come back, stick around. Slam Pigs, we are back. It is time. You guys, this has become my favorite part of the show every week, Michael. You guys, every week we put a poll out on Twitter. You voted this week. Give you guys some tough choices, man. But I'm not mad. I wanted Hakushi in the WWF. I'm not going to lie.
I really thought Hakushi was going to win.
I really wanted that, but hey, this was what my second favorite choice. The 1-2-3 Kid saga, debuting on Raw with Razor Ramon, 1993. Let's go back. First of all, before we go back, what a career Sean Waltman made out of this, first of all. Tip of the hat.
What a career Vince made out of this with his anything can happen.
You bitter about that line?
No, I just remember how much they used that after this match. Like, anything could happen here in the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, then 1 year later, it was outdone by Angels in the outfield.
Correct.
It could happen.
This is one of my all-time favorite moments on Monday Night Raw, Michael. Honestly.
Yes, this is one of the first Raws, too. I feel like Raw, was this like a month into Raw?
This is at the Manhattan Center. I don't think it wasn't a month. It was like about 5 months. I think it was like, this is May, June?
Okay, yeah, this is after WrestleMania. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, because we'd seen the kid before on like Superstars Challenge, All American Wrestling, Raw as the Cannonball Kid, the Lightning Kid, the Kamikaze Kid. A million fucking names.
Fucking jobbers can't pick a gimmick. In reality, he's actually a seasoned worker for as young as he was. Him and Jerry Lynn got their start up in around AWA country, and they'd gone all over the place. I think Jerry Lynn at this time was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, doing little shots for Cornette.
Waltman was really young in this too still, though. For being as seasoned as he was, I think he was only like 20, 21?
Yep. This is literally right before one of the best ribs in history went down when they shaved his eyebrows and he had a photo shoot for his action figure the next day. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If you ever remember why the kid looks a little weird in his early days, it's because of that. They shaved his fucking eyebrows, Mike. Welcome to the business.
I have to go down and see if I have him. I have so many wrestling figures. I have to go look.
You still have that Farouk I got you when we were kids?
I just found all of my wrestling figures because my stepson had them. And, I literally fucking... Like, I didn't realize how many I had. Like, I had an old Andre the Giant one. Like, fucking... It was pretty badass to and sad at the same time.
This is probably the first moment I can ever really remember being shocked. Because the whole Malky Mania thing with the Malkies in NWA, that was way before our time. And quite frankly, Michael, we didn't grow up in an NWA household.
Correct.
So for us, this was that first shocking... Before your Horowitz wins and all that shit, this was the first Horowitz wins, technically.
Yep. I mean, we didn't grow up in an NWA household because we didn't live in the South, but...
We still got it on TBS. I just feel like our grandparents didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't even know NWA existed back then, to be honest.
And don't take that the wrong way, guys. Me and Michael, we big-time wrestling nerd historians. We love some NWA in certain periods. I love the Horseman era and all that stuff. Of
course.
You know,
I mean, Dusty and Flair. I mean, there's some good stuff in there.
But this was shocking for 9-year-old Travis and 5-year-old you, if you remember watching this at 5. But still, this holds up when you go back. Cause...
I don't think I remember watching.
Good.
Yeah, it does hold up pretty well, actually. It was actually it wasn't a very long match. That's what I just realized. This match was only like 2 minutes long. It was just one of those. It was one of those filler matches in the middle of a Raw where usually you have a big time guy back then go against a jobber and he squashes him. But this was a little different.
This was a little different because unlike if they would do this in modern WWE like they did with Ellsworth, they tried to make a storyline out of that, but it shit the bed. Because it was James Ellsworth. I think the difference is with this was also around the steroid trial. Vince was definitely trying to get smaller guys up on the roster. This was definitely a New Japan type style the kid was working, like a Liger or something at the time, especially in North America, Michael. You weren't seeing this a lot unless you're watching like a Too Cold Scorpio on the other network. And
oh, yeah. I remember seeing him, after this match. I remember watching him thinking how amazing he was because he was doing all this stuff that you never saw in WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, he's constantly going up to the top rope, just jumping off of it like a crazy chimpanzee. But I mean, he was really fast. He did a lot of kicks. It was a different style. It was a martial arts style / high flyer style. It was really, as a kid during this time, the 1-2-3 Kid was like one of my favorite guys.
I was going to say me too, and I think that if that's exactly what they were going for also, and we can vouch for that because we were kids when this happened, and made us as kids love his character even more because he's in the land of giants. So immediately it gave like little you and me that he can do it, I can do it kind of feel, and that's why you wanted to root for him more, and it worked.
Plus, he looked like he was about the same age as us. So
exactly. We're talking about off air about you just watched the match, and I don't need to watch this match because I have it memorized in my head. I've seen it that many times. I do remember those fucking chops that Razor gave Kid in the corner. My goodness,
he gave him 2 of the stiffest chops I've ever seen in my life, and the Kid just took him.
Razor was one of those guys too that was known for eating up local job guys like this, like big time.
Oh yeah, he could definitely take some liberties in there with the jobbers.
My favorite story is the Jeff Hardy story, which I know you've heard because it's on one of the DVDs that we watched together way back. I think it's the Omega DVD where he called Jeff Hardy Ice because of his haircut. And it was like, today he'd no beat me. It's not his time. In a couple of years, it's his time. Because Razor was known for still talking like Tony Montana out of character because it just kind of... Yep. But no, like you were like I was off the rails again, but it's 93. It's going to happen. But back to the original point, this meant something unlike a James Ellsworth because this catapulted so many storylines and careers benefited from them. Obviously, the Kid benefited, but this totally was the harbinger vehicle to turn Razor babyface with Ted DiBiase, and Ted DiBiase could make fun of him after this.
Yeah,
it worked, man. It's good shit.
And this set up a lot of stuff down the road, and plus, I think the biggest thing, you had never seen this before on TV. You never saw a jobber guy win. Literally, how many times back then this was like standard WWE protocol? This was standard wrestling back in the early '90s. You fill your TV slots with big name guys against job guys to get the big name guys, more TV time, more exposure to get them over. You never ever thought that the job guy was ever going to win, ever.
Nope.
So when this happened, let's go over it, Travis. We can go over the whole match here.
Go over it. Do it.
Well, the match starts out with, Razor doing the toothpick thing, gets him in the face with the toothpick, classic Razor. And the match starts out, and basically Razor starts beating the shit out of him, hits him with those 2 chops that Bobby Heenan on commentary asked if the smoking guns were out there because he heard a gun going off. Classic Bobby.
Nowadays, you could never get away with a gun going offline, I feel like.
No. But as the match goes on, Razor's just hitting all of his shit. He gets him with the fallaway slam. He gets him doing all kinds of shit, just throwing him around the ring, basically like he would do with any other jobber.
Slopping it up with him.
Oh, yeah. Then eventually the match turns when he throws Kid into the buckle, goes into, I guess, trying to attempt a clothesline in the turnbuckle or something. Kid moves out of the way. Razor runs into the buckle. He's dazed. Just like that, the Kid goes up. Moonsault off the top rope into Razor, gets the 1-2-3 for the most shocking win ever in WWE history, maybe?
It's got to be top 3. Fair to say. If it's 1 or 2. Maybe not 3.
Just like that. And even with the 100 people in the Manhattan Center, you could hear it as soon as that 3 count hit. Everybody was just going apeshit, like, what? You know what I mean? It was one of those fun wrestling moments where you were like, holy shit.
You kind of wonder, too, like, had they done this in a big arena, how loud that would actually been.
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah.
But still, I think the Manhattan Center, that's one of the benefits of it for as few people as it sounded like 10,000, like you said. It's one of the best parts about that
And, of
building.
course, everybody on commentary sells it wonderfully as well, especially Bobby Heenan. He beat Razor Ramon!
Yeah.
But then after the match, Bobby's on Razor's side. Oh, you got a fast count. And
credit out of anyone to this, Razor. Razor sold this the best. The embarrassed, the shock. And the best part, too, is he went up to Randy Savage, and Randy said, you got beat, man. You got beat, brother. I don't know. Like, all up in his face.
You got beat, brother.
And Razor sold the I'm so shocked that I'm not even going to hit Randy Savage so well right now. He was just that in shock. It was fucking tremendous. One of the must-see moments in this company's history.
Of course, and the kid sold it well too. He looked just as shocked as anybody else.
He hopping around, jumping for joy, fucking all over the place. It's like a kid hitting his first ever home run in Little League or something.
But this is one of my favorite memories of wrestling as a kid, though. I'm so glad this one got picked.
Now, interesting enough out of this, the summer of '93 and stuff, like the kid wouldn't win a lot at all for the remainder of the year. Like he was on there with the IRS at SummerSlam.
Yeah, SummerSlam, he got beat.
With the greatest finisher ever, the right-off clothesline.
Survivor Series.
It was he actually won at Survivor Series. Him and Marty Jannetty survived in the opener.
Yeah, those were God, that was a bad Survivor Series.
That was a bad Survivor Series, and you remember how Randy Savage, the team was Razor Ramon, Marty Jannetty, 1-2-3. By the end of the year, Razor and 1-2-3 Kid would be best buddies, and they'd be that way for about 2 years until the Kid joined the corporation. That's a whole other hot fucking mess.
It was supposed to be Mr. Perfect on that team, but he got replaced by Savage.
And what's so weird is the way that like Scott Hall, Razor Ramon was introducing the Mystery Man at that pay-per-view. He kept saying he's the perfect partner. The perfect, and it's like, okay, here he comes, and then Randy Savage. What?
Yeah,
it didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was definitely a swerve there.
He's such a savage man, and he's
I think at this time, Perfect was going through some more. Was it more back issues or contract issues or something?
Yeah, a little bit both with some substance issues.
Yeah, he wasn't able to make it on the card that night, so Savage filled in, even though he was in this huge feud with Crush at the time.
Yeah. Yep. But that was the 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor Ramon. It was good stuff.
The birth of Sean Waltman. The birth of X-Pac. I mean, so many things, like you said, so many careers changed after this moment.
I can only imagine how Sean Waltman's career wouldn't have gone had he not gotten this little opportunity right here. Like I think this was the only way you could have brought in a character like that at this time. It's the only way it would have worked.
Especially in WWE.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like no muscles. He's not big at all. But
You got to
man,
say
could he work?
that's one thing WCW was always ahead on the game with WWE. It's they
Yeah.
had the lightweight division in like '91 with like Liger and Pillman. That being said, we did it, man. The Rumbles. You guys, hope you all enjoy the Royal Rumble right around the corner this Sunday. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here this week?
No, not a whole lot for me, guys. But yes, please check out the Rumble. I'll be watching it myself. My favorite pay-per-view of the year. Everything leads up to WrestleMania from here. So I'm excited. This is probably the most excited you're ever going to have me about wrestling all year long.
Until Orange Cassidy's in a world title match.
Ugh. So get your popcorn, get your Rumbles, get your little Rumble. What is it? What do you want to call your little Rumble polls, your little office pools? You know what I mean? Pick your numbers, do what you got to do, enjoy some Rumble, and we'll see you next week.
And you forgot to plug yourself, but I'll do it for you if you want.
I don't need you to plug me, nor do I want to plug myself.
At Mike the Slam Pig on Twitter. Follow him. He barely uses it, but when he does, it matters. As always, on Twitter at the Hibiki DMD, that red button down below. Subscribe, all the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, Terry Blaze bullshit, official Hibiki TMD merch, unionsmack.bigcartel.com, and every Tuesday night now, Broken Optics on Twitch, the Melee. If it's a co-op game, we're going to play it. I'm blown up like everyone should be after watching a WWE pay-per-view this weekend. Good or bad, it's worth the I don't know. Until then, Slam Pigs Podcast. See you then.